love to open up a little game and just kind of get right into that good stuff without really having to work for it. But do we love that all of the time? No. Sometimes we don't want just some girl who's just like, oh, your favorite color is blue, my favorite color is blue, here's my fucking vagina, do with it what you may. Sometimes we want to work for it. Sometimes we want an eroge that is not just straight cooch, but brain cooch. Brain fucking, that's not actual brain. What am I talking about? You don't want to just tease the cooch, you want to tease the brain. That's what I'm trying to say. And I have found one such eroge that is, it is a unique experience because it is not at all like any other eroge I have ever played. And that is like the most truest of statements. That is the most, I've never meant that sentence more than what I just said now. And that eroge is Beat Angel Escalator. Not to be confused with Angel Beats and then somehow Escalator, because then you're just gonna get a whole other thing and be using your tissues for something else. Now this video is sponsored by Manga Gamer, and that's actually the whole reason why I've played this eroge, because this is a game that they wanted me to talk about. And when I first looked at it, I'm like, what? Didn't this game, because it has a very like early 2000s aesthetic, it definitely looks like, kind of like an early 2000s anime. So at first I was just like, this is probably gonna just be like an old school dating sim with maybe some sort of like fighting capabilities, but then you're just gonna be having sex the whole time. What's the point? So then I started doing research on it, and holy shit! This game is fucking massive! Has its own hentai, figures, cosplay, I mean for God's sakes, it has its own shit on Teespring! And that is to say, this eroge is very heavily loved in Japan and possibly worldwide. And there's a reason for that. When I first started playing the eroge, I was first struck by how amazing the art was. It was very much like the early 2000s aesthetic, but even though like the side pixels, you know, when you're talking, you always have like the side pic, like the, you know, the main character talking on the side and you see his picture. It was like, even though it was on the side, you know how in visual novels it's just like, they just kind of barely change the expression of the character. They just kind of like, oh, they're surprised that's the same picture but their eyes are bigger, or they're sad, it's like, oh, there's some tears but it's the same fucking picture. However, they did so much artwork and like kind of animation for the side characters, that even for the main character that you're playing. So, and that's just and then I was struck later by how unique the story is, and then I really started getting enthralled with the game. So the eroge starts out like any sort of cliche eroge does, with our main character Kohei's old hot childhood friend moving back to their hometown, and her name is Sayuka. And then suddenly, aliens came from outer space to take over the world! Yeah, that was a leap. Kohei, being shocked, suddenly realizes that Sayuka runs off somewhere. He chases after her and finds her masturbating. At first he thinks she's just taken a little train to Coochie Town during some weird events, but then suddenly she transforms into a magical girl. She defeats the aliens and then finds out that she's only able to transform once she reaches a certain amount of sexual pleasure. And then for some reason she's not able to like masturbate anymore, and she has to move on to having sex in order to like get enough D2 energy to transform into Escalator! So essentially the point of the eroge is to have sex with our childhood friend Sayuka, so she has enough D2 energy, which is essentially just sexual pleasure and sexual arousal, to transform into the world-saving Escalator. Now aliens keep coming to the Earth, they want to take it over, so it's our job to keep constantly fighting the aliens. From this point on in the game, this is when shit gets pretty interesting. Now, you first realize that this game is not like your typical eroge due to the fact that you actually have to think of strategies. You have options that actually really remind me of kind of the strategy-based stuff in Persona. So, for instance, you have options that you can do with your day-to-day life, but you only have a certain amount of time through each option. So each option you pick helps in some different ways, but if you don't pick the right amount of options towards the main story, then you're gonna fail the game. But there's also a little mix in the strategy that makes things a little more fun. So say if you do want to maybe one day do community service or rest or raise some levels or even have sex with Sayuka, you can't just do it, okay? They have a dice game where essentially they will give you an automatic number and you need to roll higher than the number that is put on the screen. Otherwise, you can't do the shit you wanna. So essentially if you roll a number that's lower than the number shown on the screen and you want to have sex with Sayuka, well fucking sucks my dude, because you're officially blue-balled. This game is complete strategy. So you also have to battle the aliens. There's also a fighting sequences and fighting game that you have to actually fight the aliens that are coming to Earth to try and take it over with Sayuka. So you have to constantly maintain enough D2 energy, aka have enough sex scenes and sex with her in order to make sure that she always has enough health and enough power to defeat the aliens. Now that is not to say that although you have to constantly keep up with Sayuka and her abundance of sex, and there's a lot of sex in this game, okay? This is an eroge, and a strategic eroge, but it's nonetheless, it's a sexy eroge. Like, you can tie her up, you can just, you know, there's so many sex scenes, I don't even know where to begin with the shit that you can do with her. But, like I was saying before, although you have to have sex with her in order for her to maintain to saving the world, she is not the only character that you can have sex with. We got a lolly, we got a ada motherfucker, and if we're gonna have an ada motherfucker, then you better believe that we unfortunately have a Shota. So you got heavy pickings here. This is not just some straightforward, oh, only have sex with your childhood friend sort of bullshit. No, you get a combination of literally anything you can think of. Essentially, just really anybody. Anything in a group, by themselves. It's like, you have no shortage of choices and options to pick from with this game. And I can't imagine how many hours people must put into it, because I honestly do not know how many choices and endings there are, but there has to be. I am honestly guessing like hundreds. And although it is an eroge, it is still a dating sim. So you are able to romance certain characters. And it's actually pretty exciting just because the choices you get to pick when they ask you questions and whether to raise their affection and make them like you more are actually pretty difficult. Like, there's a thrill. Like, you really don't, it's not an obvious answer like, do you like me? Yes, no. It's just like, oh, do you think that the totalitarian government is going to come and be a communist Russia? Maybe. So unless you're cheating, there really is no, like, it's a pretty exciting, like, am I, aren't I? And the ending, it's never a straight bad ending. It always leads to something completely different. Now, I absolutely adore this eroge. I got sucked into the mechanics of it, just, like, being able to see a strategy of, like, how to manage my time, how to save the world, and honestly just the idea of like having to have sex with a girl in order to like her to become a magical girl is already such a like refreshing idea in the eroge community. Now this eroge initially came out in 2003, and the eroge I'm talking about right now is actually a remake of the one from 2003. And I can definitely see why this eroge was so dearly loved in Japan, because in the early 2000s, all eroges were just kind of straightforward high school, you know, easy romances. There were many ones that were out that actually had a plot that was unique, like this. And even to this day, there's not many eroges that still have plots that are unique like this, and not any I can definitely think of that have fucking strategy in them. It is also one of the first eroges that I've ever played that has so many animated sequences. It's like, every time anything really happens, it's kind of like watching your own hentai, but in a visual novel form. It's like this really odd combination. I don't know how to properly explain it because it's not just sequences that are it's kind of like playing your own hentai, but you're playing in a rogue. How do I explain this? There are so many sequences that it feels like you're playing your own anime because you have such an abundance of choices while in anime form. I think that sentence makes sense, and I'm getting across, that is, I don't know, I feel like this, no, I know that this is probably one of if not the most ambitious eroge to ever exist. It has so much into it. Honestly, it's hard to pinpoint what to talk about and how much, because it is just, it's so much. It is one of the most entertaining, fun, sort of little sexy time junctions that you can ever have. The sex, amazing. The art, that early anime aesthetic, but also kind of have a modern little like drawing twist, beautiful. And just, oh my god, the program, the strategy, the everything. It's just, there's so much in this game. Holy shit. You get so much for the price of this game. If you're feeling like a little sexy time one day, just go for the sex part. If you're feeling like you want a little sexy time as well as some fun with strategy, as well as some battling, hell fucking yeah, go play the main story. There is honestly so much of everything. If you are playing just for a certain aspect, there's so many things to choose from with it. There is, without a doubt, and I truly mean this from the bottom of my heart, that Beat Angel Escalator is one of the most creative and amazing fun times that you can have in any eroge. I really truly mean that. Like, there's no other eroge to exist that is so fucking full of shit. I highly recommend you guys check it out. There is so much to love about it, and I promise you, you're gonna fucking adore it just as much as I do. There's no really experiencing it and understanding what I'm saying unless you play it. And please play it. The links are in my description, and I really cannot stress enough how worth the money it is for how much shit you get. One of the most unique and just amazing experiences I could have ever had with an eroge. I am a giant Persona fan, so being able to have an eroge with something like kind of like the same mechanics, like what the fuck, that's amazing. Just really brilliant, really just amazing fucking game. The writing, the characters, the everything about it, just literally from bottom to top, I cannot praise enough. I did not find really any fault with it, and I cannot stop like sucking its ass. I love this fucking game. And you will too. So make sure to check out the links in the description, you sons of bitches! Thank you guys for watching this video. Please remember to like, comment, and subscribe. And thank you again to Manga Gamer for making this video possible. I love you, boy. I love you. I love making the content I do, but because it's so porny, and it's often demonetized. So, if you are thinking about supporting this channel, then please type in this link here, or check the links in the description. Thank you guys again, and once again, please check out this eroge. Please check out this eroge. And I'll see you guys on the flip side. I gotta get up and, okay, bye.